Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. There are hundreds of varieties of tomatoes, big, small, red, purple, and orange. Today we're going to talk about some you might want to try. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Alainia Hagerty. Alainia is the owner of Tomato Baby Company. All right, Alainia, let's talk about those tomato varieties. So I'm sure you have a lot of favorite varieties, but before we do that, let's talk about the difference between determinate and indeterminate tomatoes.
Your determinate tomatoes will put on their fruit all at one time. So like if you were canning and you wanted to make sure you had ample supply to do your canning at one time, then you would want to do your determinate varieties. Okay. Your indeterminate varieties, most of the home gardeners do these because they're going to, for what you've put into planting them, you're going to get your return all season long. Okay.
All season long.
All season long. And a lot of people do determinate varieties because they want something more compact because they're container gardening. But I encourage you to do the indeterminate varieties and then prune them back. Okay. They'll live through it.
They'll live through it.
They'll live through it.
All right. So you want to start telling us about some of the tomato varieties that you like?
Okay. There's a lot of different spectrum. There's a huge spectrum of flavors. Okay. You could try 10 different kinds, and every member in the household would find a different variety that they like. So I encourage people to try different kinds before they choose or plant only one kind. Okay. Most of what's available to us in the big box stores is just a few varieties, when there's thousands that we could try. Whenever you're getting them, buying your varieties, try to buy named varieties. Often they're tagged, we find them in the stores as red beefsteak. Mm-hmm. That's not the cultivar. That is the shape and the color they're telling you. Okay. If they say Roma, red Roma, which I've seen, that's a shape and a color. Okay. We want to know which red Roma was it. Right. Was it San Marzano? Was it Opalka? Because that way you know what to reject or what to retry the following year based off of how it produced and how it tasted.
It's good. Okay, it's good.
You'll still be limited with what you can find until you start. Nowadays, there's so many different online vendors that are selling many varieties. And of course, we get the seed catalog. So you can start your own or find a grower that's doing that already for you. And then you open up a whole world to all the different kinds that you can't normally find.
I like that. So you're encouraging folks to try more than just the one.
They taste different.
Right. Okay.
And they're going to produce differently. Sure. You can grow hundreds of tomato types beside each other, and they're going to look different, and they're going to grow differently. Okay. So as well as we know they're going to produce differently. Right. Some do better in the cooler temps that we would see in the northern states. Brandywine is one of these.
I'm familiar with that.
There's some that do better in the late season, or they do better with a little bit more heat.
And by that time, it will be a lot hotter.
Yes.
Later in the season,
so,
for sure.
And the ones that say that say they're heat resistant,
I've seen those.
Generally, they're only talking about a few degrees.
Okay.
Tomatoes will set the fruit, and sometimes above 90 degrees, the pollen is not as viable. Okay. These heat-resistant varieties are saying that at 95 degrees, they'll set fruit up to 95 degrees. That 5-degree difference isn't enough to only include that in your garden. Okay. So try them all.
Try them all.
Worst case scenario, you can always self-pollinate.
So let's talk about some of your favorite varieties.
Okay, we start with colors, we start with reds.
We're gonna let you start wherever you want to start.
Okay.
How about that?
Some people like sweet tomatoes.
Okay.
I've got a couple sweet tomatoes.
Giant?
Watermelon,
okay.
Yes.
Right.
Watermelon is giant. Sweet tomato. Dad's Sunset is a good orange that would be sweet. Kellogg's Breakfast. Those would also be sweet.
So let me ask you about that. So what makes it sweet though?
The sugar content and also sometimes the acidity to it will make it, if it's not as acidic, it'll make it taste sweeter.
Okay. Do you prefer the sweeter tomatoes?
I'm more the acidic.
So you're
I
acidic,
think.
okay.
Yeah. But these are good too.
But they're good, okay.
But some people come and actually will request a sweet tomato.
Okay.
And that's,
Got it.
these are some that I've tried that do. If you're trying to grow Roma tomatoes or for canning and you don't want as much juice, you'll want a thicker fruit with not as much gel or seeds. San Marzano is a good tasting one.
That.
Then you've got some bigger ones with pink fang. That's a new one I'm trying this year.
Okay.
I'm trying to get closer to the ox heart size. Now the ox heart tomato is essentially the same shape as the Roma, but it's like a Roma on steroids. So it's a strawberry shape. But it's got the same setup where the seed cavities are on the outside. So if you wanted to remove the seeds and have a thicker paste, now I've never met an ox heart that I didn't like. But
good.
They're big and you're not gonna get as much fruit.
Okay.
So if you're, again, going for the Roma shape for the paste and tomato types, try the ox hearts.
Okay.
But keep in mind, you'll have to plant more of those.
Right.
But they have a lot more flavor than the typical Roma.
Got it, okay.
Some ox hearts would be German red strawberry, Wolford's Wonder, Russian 117. Now, good general purpose tomato,
Okay. And what do you mean by general purpose?
you're gonna get a lot of them.
Okay, so a lot.
A reliable production.
Okay.
Maybe not the best tasting tomato, but it's reliable.
It's reliable, good, okay.
Stupus. Now it's a smaller one,
Okay.
but you're gonna get a lot of them.
right.
A lot of people that have trouble growing, maybe they don't have enough sunlight and want at least 6 hours of direct sunlight.
Okay.
If you're not getting that, try Stupus. That's probably one that I think you'll get some. Those are cherries.
Good, okay.
Other general purpose, Big Zac, Beef Master.
Beef master, how about that? Okay.
Now, most people like the big, tasty tomatoes. They're like, I want a big, tasty tomato.
Sure.
This is what I got for you.
Okay.
Aussie Brandywine.
Okay. That's
And
pretty
it
good.
is a little sweet too. Italian tree tomato.
Italian tree tomato.
Huge. It's another potato leaf like your Brandywine.
Okay.
But they're good. They're good tasting and they're big fruit. Mexico, Neves Azorean Red. You haven't seen those in the store.
Okay.
5 different people can sit down and they will each say one of the different ones was their favorite. They taste different, plus our taste buds are different. So experiment, try different types.
I like that. You want us to, try this?
Yes, it's just not
Just a
the
little
few
variety,
you get in
yeah.
the store.
Just a little variety. Okay.
Colored tomatoes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Your purples or your blacks. There's one called black, and it's about egg-shaped.
Okay.
Cherokee purple.
No Cherokee
Folks
purple.
know.
Know that one.
Purple calabash. I like those.
Okay.
Now those are the ugliest looking tomatoes.
Oh goodness.
But if you don't mind it being ugly and you just want to taste a really good purple, it's a really good purple. Yellows and oranges. Dad's Sunset. Kellogg's Breakfast.
Oh, Kellogg's breakfast.
Persimmon.
Golly.
Now, green tomatoes.
Okay.
My mom likes these.
Green tomatoes.
They're ripe when they're still green.
They're ripe.
And they're green. They're going to have a little bit of a yellow blushing at the shoulders, maybe a little bit of a pink blushing at the bottom,
Okay.
and they're going to be a little squishy.
So that's how you can
know.
tell when they're ready.
That's the only way you can tell when they're ready.
Wow.
My mom likes those, but
Okay.
do not plant a whole garden of those.
Okay.
They have a tart taste to them. It's not going to taste like a regular tomato,
Okay.
but Mom likes them a lot.
Hey, I'm going with Mom.
Anna's Noir is base green. We talked about that one. It's a sweet
Okay,
tomato,
sweet.
but it's really unique looking. Your striped tomatoes.
Okay.
These can be the most colorful, neatest looking tomatoes. And if you like to grow tomatoes, maybe you don't like to taste tomatoes. There are some people out there that do not like to eat them, but they like to grow them.
They like to grow on.
These are for you.
Right, we know some of those people, don't we?
Yes, striped ones, splotched ones. A well-known one would be Big Rainbow.
Big rainbow.
Yellow, and you'll get some pink splotches on the outside. You can slice them and you'll have that pink starburst in the center.
How about that?
Okay.
Right.
Pineapple,
Pineapple.
Hawaiian pineapple, but they're a little different. Hawaiian pineapple's got more striping. Pineapple has more splotches, and they're huge. A little bit of sweet, they're fruity. Pork chop,
Pork chop, all right.
cherry tomatoes.
All right.
There's big cherries, little cherries.
Okay.
You've got your salad bar size. That
Which
would
I
be
like.
about like a quarter. And then there's the little mini marbles that served together, they just look excellent.
Okay.
If you like the little bitty ones, try Matt's Wild Cherry. If you can't grow or think you can't grow tomatoes, try Matt's Wild Cherry. If it
Okay.
ever makes once, I had one going for like 15 years.
How about that? Okay.
If you like that one, White Currant is a yellow version. These are your little wild cherries.
Okay.
Salad bar size, about like a quarter. Black cherry, that's different than your normal, and it's good. It's purple. Eye candy, that's
candy.
your salad bar size.
The names are cool.
I
but
know,
the names
you
are
can't
cool.
help but get interested.
Yeah, so again, try all of these if you can.
Yes.
Just try variety.
Yes.
That's what you're asking.
Find
for.
named
Okay.
varieties,
Name, okay.
find a selection, and try different things.
Just try different things.
As soon as you find out what you do like, then you can start comparing them
Sure.
and talking tomatoes with your friends.
There you have it from Elena, a tomato expert. Try them. Try them. Thank you, Elena. It was good. I can tell you're excited about this
I
topic.
do, I can't help it. 'Cause
Try them, y'all.
I'm biased.
Try them. Thank you much.
When you have a couple of beautiful blackberries, like I have behind me, and then you have one that looks like this, your gut instinct is to say, this blackberry is dead. Let's take it out and replace it with something. But before you do that, do a little investigation and try to determine whether or not it's alive, truly alive or dead. It may just be a different variety, and it may take it a little bit longer to come out. This one was planted quite a bit later than the two behind me. So let's do some checking here. And a good way is to, without doing a lot of damage, is to cut into the bark just a little bit and try to determine whether the cambium layer is brown or green. This one is brown, so this twig is dead. But let me go right here, check this stem right here. It's also dead. I'm going down to the main trunk now. Dead. This plant is dead. Now I will show you what live tissue looks like. Look at that. Green, healthy. If I had found any of that down there, I would have given that another chance. With a lot of even ornamentals around the house, they look really, really bad after the winter. But give them a chance. Give them a chance. You know, don't rush. And I'm speaking from experience because I've done that and I've taken some plants out that I should have left.
All right, here's our Q&A segment. Y'all ready?
Yes.
These are great questions. Here's our first via email. What can I do to prevent my picked green tomatoes from ripening so quickly? Before they die in the fall, I pick all the green tomatoes. However, when the tomatoes are picked, they begin to ripen. They simply ripen very quickly. We can't eat them fast enough. And this is Nevin from Bartlett, Tennessee. All right, Nevin, we have a local tomato expert here, and she's going to tell us how to do this, right?
Okay, I would vary the cultivars when you're planting. When you're choosing the plants for your garden, you can choose a early season of 60 to 70 days of ripening. Your mid-season would be like your 70 to 80, 90. Then you've got your late season that will develop the fruit within 90, 100 days of your blossom set. By varying them in the garden planting, you'll also be thinking of that final pick right before the frost. Okay. So you could ripen a few quickly by putting them in a brown paper bag, putting bananas or apples, ripening fruit with them. The ethylene in the bag will help them ripen faster. That'll get you the first ones. Now you've got your early season, mid-season, late season, and hopefully that'll space them out to where you can use them. But if you get caught with too many,
Which is the case. Right?
which is the case, put them in the freezer. You may not have time to process them and can them, but you can just take them whole. It's a natural seal. They won't split and leak, and just put them in the freezer. And then you'll have them whenever you're cooking. Soups, sauces, spaghetti sauce.
That sounds so
It's
good. doesn't it?
easy.
It's easy, she
Very
says, Mr.
easy.
Day. Easy.
You know, I've never had that problem. I always fry them and eat them green before they have
Those
a
are
chance
the
to turn
first
red.
ones.
You know, fried green
The
tomatoes.
very first ones.
You know, I just never have that problem. It's a good deal.
All right. Nevin, a natural seal. Put them in the freezer. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. Here's our next via email. I have a weeping cherry with a serious shot hole problem. How can I keep my cherries from getting shot hole disease? And this is Claire from Mount Airy, North Carolina. All right, Mr. D, we know a little bit about the shot hole disease here.
Isn't that Mayberry?
Mount Airy?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
maybe?
that, yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been there. That's where they did all that filming. There are two causes of the shot hole on the leaves of cherry trees. One is bacterial leaf spot, which will basically cause the spots on the leaves, and they'll turn dark and fall out, and it gives the shot hole appearance. And then the other is cherry leaf spot, which is caused by fungus disease. I noticed on the new fruit spray guide that UT put out last year, and I just saw that the other day, they have included
It's
cherry
there,
with peaches and plums. They're stone fruit. And if you follow the spray guide, if the tree is small enough that you can spray it, it will take care of the fungal leaf spot. However, it won't do anything with a bacterial leaf spot. There are some antibiotics that might help with that, but I don't recommend it. Thing about it is the cherry trees can tolerate a lot of that kind of damage. So I would basically try to control the fungal leaf spot, but not worry about the bacterial leaf spot, I don't think. Some of the varieties are more susceptible to the bacterial leaf spot than others, so you might want to, you know, if you're swapping up, go with a different one. But
Right, yeah. So, yeah, resistant varieties is something that I always tell people about. You got to practice good sanitation. You got to get those disease leaves up.
yeah,
Throw
so that's
'em away.
something to check out before you plant your cherry trees.
Yes.
But you got a cherry tree growing, I don't recommend you cut it down. And,
No.
you know, George Washington had a problem with that, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't recommend doing that. But yeah, anytime you have wet, warm weather,
Oh,
yeah.
both of those,
Yeah,
the
for the
bacterial
fungal,
and the
right.
fungal, they like warm, wet weather.
Right. And the symptoms are going to be the same. Yeah.
Right, right.
So, yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
And if your tree is too big, it's going to be tough to spray it. So,
Yeah,
it can deal with the damage, like you said.
yeah, they
Just-
tolerate a lot of that.
They'll come back.
Yeah.
The leaves will come back. Just pick them up when they do fall off. All right, Claire. Hope that helps you out there. Here's our next viewer email. This is an interesting one. I have a peach tree that my daddy planted years ago, and it has never been pruned that I know of. 3 years ago, I got about 10 5-gallon buckets of peaches off of it. The last few years, my peaches have had worms in them, plus a clear, thick jelly-type stuff on them. What kind of fertilizer, pesticide, etc., do I need to use to keep the worms out of my peaches? And how do I need to prune it? And this is Jana. All right, Jana, we're just going to sit back. We're going to let Mr. D have this one because I know what he's going to say. So, what is that worm, you think?
Well, the worm is the plum curculio. That may be the least of the problems right now, but I mean, it is a very serious problem.
Sure.
But I mean, number one, it hadn't been pruned. You don't prune it, and the peach varieties that we have now, the improved varieties that we've been developing over the years, for over the last 100 years, I guess, are not designed to be not pruned. If you don't prune them, they will prune themselves. and I'm surprised that you haven't had a lot of limb breakage. If you had fruit, if that tree had been loaded down with fruit, you would have had a tremendous amount of limb breakage on that peach tree. The plum curculio causes the worms in the fruit. It also, where the adult female lays the egg for the plum curculio, there will sometimes be a drop of sap, juice that comes out. I would severely prune the tree, open up the center of the tree, thin it out, you know, get all the hanger downers below your waist out of the way, and open up the center of the tree, make it look like an upside down umbrella. And that probably means if it hasn't been pruned in a few years that a chainsaw might be involved.
Oh, man.
We may be talking chainsaw. And you're probably talking about taking out about 80% of the tree to do that. And then put it on a regular spray program. We haven't even got to the fertilizer yet. It doesn't take a whole lot of fertilizer. You need to do a soil test. The pH needs to be around 6.5. So lime to get it to that point. Fertilizer, doesn't take a lot of fertilizer. Rule of thumb, 2 pounds of 888 per tree per year of age, up to a maximum of 12 pounds for a 6-year-old tree or older. But if you don't need the P and K, you don't need to put it out there. You know, so I don't recommend doing that every year, but that's a general rule of thumb. Soil test, don't guess.
Don't guess.
What months could she prune? Or what months could be pruned?
I'd start pruning about a month before my average last frost-free date, depending on where you are. And you know, late winter, you don't want to prune within 48 hours of when a hard freeze is forecast. Let that hard freeze get out of the way, because this may do some pruning for you. And then go out there and you know, take out the, you know, any dead wood, any freeze damage that you had over the winter that's apparent, you can go and take that out, get that off the tree. But a lot of problems, and I have seen trees like that. I have gone out and worked them, and it's a job. You just have to roll your sleeves up, but you can, if you thin out the limbs and open up the center of the tree, bring it down. If you got anything over 8-10 feet tall, bring it down where you can manage most of it from the ground or a short ladder, and then fertility's right. Put it on a spray program, and you know, I would recommend, if you're in our neck of the woods, getting you one of these, you know, one of these disease and insect control in home fruit plantings, and it's going to recommend that on peaches, plums, and cherries that you do a delayed dormant spray with oil emulsion, and then at bloom, go in there with a fungicide Captan. Do not apply any insecticides during bloom, because you will stop the pollination. And then when all the petals or most of the petals have fallen off, we have 3 different choices of fungicides. Captan, sulfur, or chlorothalonil are the 3 different choices. Don't use all of them. Pick one of them. And you might want to mix them up a little bit. It's probably a good idea to help prevent resistance, to kind of mix them up a little bit from time to time. But one of those fungicides plus malathion. Malathion will take care of plum curculio. And then you do that every 7 to 10 days. If it's dry weather, you don't get any rain at all, wait about 10 days. If it rains, it erased your protective spray. So pretend like you didn't spray.
It's a lot of work.
But it, you know, 7 to 10 day spray schedule, you know, up until before harvest, and then follow the pre-harvest interval on the insecticide and fungicide that you're using. But that, you know, that's some work.
It's a lot of work, and we'll have that publication, of course, on our website.
You need good info.
Good info. It is good info. Thank you, Mr. T. Yeah, Ms. Jana, that's going to be a lot of work. All right. Thank you much for the question. All right, here's our next via email. I have been battling bishop weed in my flowers. I have tried pulling and mulching, and it just comes back. Can a careful application weed killer kill bishop weed, or do I just have to accept it? And this is Linda from Lancaster, Ohio. You have any thoughts about that, Elena? Now, understand it's already in her flower bed, so there's other flowers there. So yeah, she just wants to be careful about using maybe a chemical.
You may have to hand put on your weed killer, which could be tedious, but if you pull them up, you could be damaging the roots on your flowers, and apparently they keep coming back each year. So you're going to have to get that weed killer on the leaves, let them carry the weed killer down to the roots, and then hopefully that'll damage the roots enough that you won't have to deal with them popping back up again. That's
good. That's good. I know this. Another name is gout weed. I know about gout weed. It's a perennial, grows by rhizomes, spreads by rhizomes, very difficult to control. If you pull it up, you better make sure you get all of it, because if you don't, it's going to come back mad.
Again.
All right, it's going to spread all over the place. Mr. D, I know that you can use glyphosate, you know, read and follow the label, of course. Triclopyr is something else you can use, read and follow the label, because it does translocate down into the roots.
Yeah.
It's going to be multiple applications.
Yep, right, multiple applications, but I like your idea of
Painting,
of hand doing it, and I'll give you an idea of a way you can do that without a pretty safe way you can do that. Rubber gloves, put rubber gloves on, and then cotton jersey gloves over the rubber gloves, and you're going to simulate a rope wick applicator. You dip that, and then you just wipe it on the
I
leaves.
like that. So it's the wipe technique or the painting technique.
Right, and I mean you could use a brush,
A
but you're going to have
sponge,
dripping and stuff like that. But if you do that,
like that.
and just rub those leaves, then you can, you know, you can get really into it.
I like that a lot better than the paintbrush.
Yeah.
That's very hands-on, and you feel
is.
like you're really
Yeah.
getting in there and just
Put
about
it on the
pulling
leaves
them.
you want it on, and
Yeah, just protect your, you know, of course, your other plants,
And
your
so it is.
desirable plants, of course.
you put it on those nice healthy leaves, because they will very rapidly translocate
they
and
will.
And go to the root and kill the plant maybe. But it is tedious.
It is tedious
and it
work.
will be, you won't, one time won't do that. That'll be all summer long, but eventually
It will play
you take it out.
It will play out.
Right, eventually it will. Yeah, so thank you for that question. Yeah, it'll be tedious, but it will work
Yes.
over time. Just be
Right.
careful, read and follow the label. All right, thank you for that question. All right, Alainia, Mr. D, that was good. That was fun. Thank y'all much.
Thank you.
Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. It's spring and time to put it in the garden. At familyplotgarden.com, we have over 1,000 videos that show you how to do all sorts of gardening things. We have videos about planting, fertilizing, bugs, and diseases. Go take a look. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.